Today, guys, welcome back to another episode of the DXB podcast. Today, I'm privileged to have Ewing. I first met you, I think 3 weeks ago. I always saw you on LinkedIn, but I first met you about 3 weeks ago on the Salesfinity competition. That was really fun. And you gassed me up. You're like, yo, there's the competition is great. And then there's this guy, Shane, who's a beast. And that's why I do this, right? I love the attention. My first sales job, I had just got out of prison. I was working security at my cousin's fucking rubbish place, a building, lovely building in a place called Canary Wharf, bunch of rich people. I asked him for a raise. He said he'll give me 50p. I told him do one in a very polite way. And then I got into sales. Within 3 days of training, I'd never got on the phone in my life, picked up the Mytel phone and just went for it. And they were like, the whole room was only 4 people, but whole room sounds better. They were just shocked. They were like, are you sure you'd never been on the phone? And I was like, I've never done this. I've just watched a couple of movies. And long story short, that was where I found my career. So Ewing, who are you? What do you do? And why do you do it?
Well, quite a journey, my friend. I was one of those guys that thought sales was evil and slimy and manipulative, and so I stayed away from it for the first 10 years of my career. Grew up in Six Sigma, worked for a manufacturing company. They sent me to Beijing. I ran a recruiting team all over Asia Pac, and had a family situation come about that I had to parachute out of there and out of that life and come back to Oklahoma, where
Okay.
I'm from. And that manufacturing company would not allow me to work remote. That was like not even on the table in 2012, right? That's a conversation you couldn't even have. So I call one of the software vendors. I was their second customer in enterprise, and I told him I was leaving, and he hired me and took me to San Francisco, and that's what got me into tech, and that's what eventually led me into sales. So, me, what do I do now? Pitch Black is a consulting firm. It has a very, very North Star mission, and that is that I am trying to build a model where I can hire convicted felons of drug crimes and turn them into sales professionals the day they walk out of prison. And so that's what keeps me going, right? Now, in order to do that, what needs to be possible is to bridge the skill gap between when they went in and what the world was like, and when they got out and what the world's like. And so you need to be able to plug someone in straight to a microphone and a headset, and they just need to be able to talk and converse and do the audio pieces of the job. So I'm a computer science undergrad, MIS, part of the business school actually, and I've always been RevOpsy, if you want to
Mm-hmm.
call it that, for this audience. And I'm the guy that broke the door down to an enterprise deal of 6 figures or more twice, 7 figures or more twice, in three different startups in IBM, two different divisions in IBM, and so AI, metaverse, and HR technology. And I would tell you that in many ways, selling HR technology is the most difficult of that body of work. So, and that's no case study, no website, no testimonial, no momentum, no inbound lead flow. The division I went to at IBM in my last tour of duty there had $0 from outbound for the trailing 3 years in a row. So zero, zero, zero. And so my boss and I came from one of the software divisions, and that was our mission, was to get outbound from zero to something. Right. So I've been a zero to something guy over and over and over. And so now I've turned that into an agency. I help founders in the seed, pre-seed, Series A, Series B range, mostly, with things that they don't want to do. And one of the things we learned at IBM was something called the two-step drop, right? So if you wanted to come up with a quote or you wanted to have a little sizzle, it's called the two-step drop. When somebody at a C level reaches out to one drop down as VP, the second drop down as director. When a C level reaches out to a director, there is an inherent selfish reaction from that two-step drop level, the recipient, that thinks, maybe this is about my career. Wow, the SVP of something is reaching out to me. I should probably lean into this. What you get in the two-step drop, all other things being equal, is about a 300 to 500% higher engagement rate back. So if you're a founder, if you are a CE anything, CEO, CXO, CRO, CTO in particular, people love talking to CTOs because they don't assume any kind of sales interaction is going to happen. Those are the accounts in your business all the way probably to IPO, and maybe you could cut it off at Series D if you wanted to use a range there. That's going to convert better than any salesperson you're ever going to hire. I did a lot of ghostwriting for the various founders and executives I worked with. So the other thing I do, and so Pitch Black is like two things. One is early stage companies, LinkedIn, email, some RevOps things, and quite a bit with GPT. If we get into that, we can get into that. And then you met me at a cold calling battle,
Mm-hmm.
right? And and so you met me at a cold calling battle because at Topia, where I was head of revenue at the time, I wanted to put out the metaverse, but not make it the story. So what was happening is you were using Salesfinity to compete with someone else, and what we thought we were competing on is who has the best data. What was actually happening was I was promoting the metaverse by you getting to experience it and dial side by side with other people in the same room. Remember that
Of course.
experience? Right? So Nooks can't do that, right? They don't have that. There's patents on the way that that happens. Meta can't do that. Microsoft Mesh can't do that. There's a distinct advantage to Topia. Right now, it's got a really strong foothold in the K through 12 market, and it's the sleeping giant in B2B, and their day will come very soon when people realize. And there's actually two other agencies right now, and I can't say anything about it, but they're building their own cold calling room. So, or think of it like the sales pit. The sales pit can come back. The manager can run around the sales pit, listen to calls, talk to reps, listen to the last call connect or discovery call or whatever it is. This is really going to turn into something. So I appreciate you for competing in that. It made a big difference to Topia and to Salesfinity, and to some of the data companies as well. So that's an example of a play, right? That's an example of a play that I craft for early stage companies. And, I call it selling without selling. I never pitched you the metaverse. I never mentioned it. Nobody talked about it. But guess what? Now there's 3 sales cold calling agencies that want to build that for themselves. And Topia just happens to have a robust SDK with the ability to build on top of and white label. So it's going to look like it's their metaverse part of their product. So there's some fire
Me.
coming, my man. There's some real,
There, let's digest that
real
one. Let's digest a little bit of that because I had to. So what I do is I'm writing notes because I smoke a lot, so sometimes I forget what I say, so I have to write it down, right? And in terms of, let's just start with Pitch Black, which is, oh my fucking god, again, is all I say after I shoot these podcasts. So yesterday or the day before, I ran a podcast with John Welch. The day before that, I ran a podcast with a guy called Stephen Nelmans. Both completely different guys, but they're on. So one's a little bit ahead, the younger guy. John is on a spiritual journey that I'm on, and you now basically bridging a big gap I had in how do I present my story in a professional way, in an inspiring way to the people that I'm trying to serve, which are exactly like you said, my old bunkie. If he hears this name Los, right? Let's hope he fucking watches this and he's hating life because he's taken on a career. I'm always happy. Like right now, I've done my £500,000 B2B agency. I hit it. I ran it to 1 million this year, and now I'm on my second journey. And he's like, dude, like, how are you always fucking so happy? And I'm saying, because I'm fulfilled, right? In terms of just understanding how all of my past experience have created what I am now, like, embrace that shit. And it came from prison, right? A lot of my learnings was my smack in the ass from prison. And it was because I had a knee surgery, ACL repair, typical type of surgery you get in high school, hooked on perks, perks turned into heroin, Heroin turned into rehab. I don't know how far are you from Canadian in Oklahoma.
Don't know.
So there's
Oh, I don't know that town. I'm from Glenpool, Oklahoma, population 12,000.
May I think Canadian. Look up Canadian Oklahoma. It's
Oh,
called Narconon, and it's a
okay.
Scientology-based rehab that I had to go to. It was fucked up beyond belief. I was stuck there for 7 months. But along that journey, like I said, I went through the rehab, then to jail 8 times, then to prison for 3 years, then shipped out. And my integration back into society, which brings me to Pitch Black, and then serving an audience that you are going to be able to help or you will help, and I can kind of
Yep.
shine a light on it. That is
Yep.
incredible. And so my mindset. Tell me how you work with this. Then, have you been? Quick question, very easy. Yes or no? Have you ever been to prison? Lucky.
No. Yeah. Well, I went to jail for one night when I was
Okay.
17.
So I've come from a very. My dad is extremely successful, Goldman Sachs VP. We live in Franklin Lakes, New Jersey. I had to come back home. And that 3 years in prison took me to the very lowest of my life ever. Broken down, scared, frightened, not know when you're going to get out. And then when you get to the fifth, so I did 30 months. When you get to 15 months, then you have to reprogram your mind to adjust to society in a way that not I've come out, everybody does me a favor. I come out, everybody thinks you are scum. You are a piece of shit. This is it.
Yep.
You could fucking put people on, make yourself feel good. No, that doesn't exist because you are nothing. People look, you have to be prepared for people looking at you with bad eyes. So that mentality is a very, 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 let's say, damaging way to believe, damaging way to live. Let's say I introduced Yardsville Correctional Facility has 5,000 people, I think. Let's say there's 3,000
Yep.
people. Out of those 3,000, 300 are like, yeah, we remember Mahi. Papi Mahi, we remember Papi. He's working with this guy, Ewing, works at Pitch Black. He can help us get into sales, but we're still fucked up. What do you say in 2 minutes to these guys? Take a chance on yourself and come speak to me.
Well, I'm focused on the drug dealer, the
Yeah, that's
drug
it.
audience.
That's exactly
And
what it was.
what I'd say to them is, look, you grew up in a circumstance that caused you to be an entrepreneur. It just so happens that what you were selling was illegal
Mm.
at the time. You're about to walk out this door and realize that there's many, many, many multimillionaires selling marijuana all over this country, and yet you still have a felony on your record. And you can't. And so, talk about a travesty. I think that's one of the great injustices out there. And so, what I'm focused on is taking that entrepreneurial spirit and pointing it to something that's
Mm-hmm.
legal and bridging the gap between what you'd have to know had you grown up in the field and the trade like I did, and instead plugging straight into the phone and having an opportunity to
Mm-hmm.
sell. And now all of the dominoes have fallen to make that possible. So, little backstory how I got to this. When I was in recruiting, I had this vision of enabling stay-at-home moms to become recruiters. So, fractional
Mm-hmm.
recruiters. A lot of stay-at-home moms are some of the sharpest and smartest
Yeah.
and most educated people I've ever met. Just made a different choice in life. And so, I always had this idea in my head that there's under-tapped talent pools that can be activated. So I always had this. But then when I switched from recruiting to sales, one of my friends got out of prison, and when I was in sixth grade, I was bullied. I was a late bloomer all the way through. I was
Me
a
too.
tiny kid, and I was
Mm-hmm.
bullied on the bus. And one day, this guy Melvin came back on the bus and just slapped this guy and was like, "That's my teammate," because I was on the basketball
Okay.
team. So standing up for me like that was meaningful. I still remember it to this day. I never got picked on ever again on the bus. And so he got out of jail. And randomly one day, I'm on chess with friends. I love to play chess. And I see him and we play, and he just whips me, right? He just whips
Yeah.
me. And I'm like, Melvin, man, I'm like, where'd you learn how to play chess? And he said, man, six calendars.
In the county.
Six,
Yep.
6 calendars, man. I played every single day. He said, Ewing, you don't have any moves I've never seen before. And I was like,
Yep.
wow. So that activated this belief that I had that there's underutilized talent pools out there, and I was like, wow, this guy's whipping me at
Mm-hmm.
chess, and he was a C student in high school, and he's got that entrepreneurial mindset. He just decided to sell something that wasn't legal, and and there was a lot of factors in that, and people could pass judgment and decide that they believe what they believe. But I think many of these people, and so that was story number one, is seeing his intelligence through a different lens and realizing, and he's so personable. He's like you. He's like the guy you want to hang out with. He's so
Mm-hmm.
personable. I know he would thrive, but he's not going to figure out LinkedIn Navigator and all
Yeah.
these touch
Yep. Yep.
points
Yep.
and things, and that is a huge barrier. So what we're doing at Pitch Black is using GPT to put a natural language interface on top of all that. And so all of it,
Wow.
all of it. You're just going brick by brick. And I haven't really put this out there yet. So this is the first time I've really put this out there. But we're just going brick by brick so that you could just say, I want to target, this kind of people for this company I'm working for. Maybe you're selling for 2 or 3 different companies as a
Mm-hmm.
contract person, and the next thing you know, it's dialing. Next thing you know, you're dialing. And behind the scenes, what you're dialing is the people that came to the website and signed up for a demo and no showed, and then people that came to the website and clicked on the pricing page and did nothing, and then you're calling people that were contacted before, and whatever those workflows end up being, it'll be customer
Mm-hmm.
dependent, but that's how the engine's working behind the scenes. I'm building that for myself, right? So I'm using that for myself, but eventually I'm not building it for myself. I'm building it for a different purpose. The second story is um, I decided that I wanted to go kind of like just take a sort of turn in life. When I was living in LA, I was like, you know what? I want to live downtown. I want to live in the arts district. I want to live near the filmographers, and like I want to get close to like where stuff's being created. There's a place called forget the name of the actual place, but it's the Pabst Blue Ribbon brewery, original brewery, has turned into this place where if you're not an artist, if you're not making music, if you're not painting, if you're not making clothes, if you're not an actor or director, you can't live there. It's like it's qualification. Incredibly diverse. Every language you've ever heard of, every skin color you could imagine, all in one place. And I got in as a roommate on literally like just a post just for the third room. Turns out I moved in with a guy that was growing all of the marijuana in Northern California that supplied that supplied all of Chicago and all of Milwaukee. It was one of the big arrests, and he was a rich white kid from Connecticut. So now I've got this black guy on my basketball team from early in life, and there's a lot of injustice that relates to race. Now this is a rich kid from Connecticut, white
Yep.
as a ghost. He comes home one night, and believe me, and there was paintings all over the condo. He painted them all in prison. He became a painter in prison. Um, he comes home one night from driving Uber, and the passenger brought up something kind of like we're doing right now. We're just talking about life, just two
Mm-hmm.
guys, right? Passenger brought something up, and he chose in that moment to disclose that he's like, well, I did some time myself, and they were just talking about an organic conversation. That passenger reported him to Uber, and they shut off his account before he even got home. Before he even finished his last ride, he was fired. Now, so then I saw something different, right? So first I thought this drug felon thing was about when I named it Pitch Black, as a metaphor for a couple of different things, a little bit to do with social
Mm-hmm.
injustice, and the African American population for sure, but and pitching about sales, right? And then also the flip side to that name is you're pitching to the dark parts of your territory, so it's very heavy outbound focused, right? So you're pitching to the black, the things you can't see, the customers you don't
Mm-hmm.
have. So that's the two sides of the name, and the this guy faced just as much rejection as my black friend did and does, because of the
Yep.
felony piece is so strong in job applications and referral check, all that stuff. it just eliminates you
It's the
from
worst.
so many occupations. And so seeing that, what made me realize that, you know, this is one of the worst um, labels, conditions, things that you can have as a person, especially in this country. And so, but what I do know is that people need sales, and I knew both of these people could sell, can absolutely sell, but neither one of them can operate a computer. And so I saw it. I saw it at first. I thought it was a little bit of like a social injustice thing, and that was enough to get me motivated. But then I realized, wow, this is bigger than just race. This drug felony thing, and he was like the kingpin of marijuana in Chicago, and now he can't even get a license to grow marijuana legally. Now he can't even get a license to open up a retail marijuana
Well,
shop.
let's leave into that.
So imagine you go to jail for selling something illegal. You get
It's
out
legal.
and it's legal. Everyone's making money, and you
Yep.
can't do it.
Yep.
So I just think that if I put myself in their shoes, then I'm losing it. I'm like, you know, and whatever choices led to those choices, I'm not going to be the judge of that. But I think I think it's something that a few more people should take a swing at offering some help to. I don't believe in nonprofits. I don't believe in programs. I don't believe in the
Mhm.
government funding stuff. This is going to be a business. This is about this. This has to be a business, or it will fail. So they have to be able to come out, be productive, and I'm not trying to give someone a $35,000 BDR job. Like when we launched this capability, when we're ready, it's because I think I can take someone out of prison and they can make 100 grand in their first year out of
It's
prison.
possible.
So when we get to that point, that's the shift I'm going to make. So the tech will be ready by
Dude, we're
then.
gonna lean into that, right? And we wanna I do this for this exact reason. When I came out of prison, the whole thing was you're either gonna be a bum or you're going to be something, right? And I knew that for 7 years I was in corporate events and learned how to walk my way through those careers. And how I learned how to walk my way through a career was by being able to manipulate correctional officers to make them do what I wanted. So for those that do watch, this is not to brag, this is not to be arrogant, but this was what year does that say?
That says
What number
2021.
does that say?
171,000
That was year
pounds,
one of sales driven.
410,000 pounds, 2022.
We're not finished. I just was separated.
That's what you
It's what
spent.
I spend. Exactly. These are all, but you have to be able to
Oh,
have that money to
oh,
spend it, right? So in
yeah,
those
yeah.
3 years of starting my business, I am a four-time felon for armed robbery, assault on a police officer, conspiracy to sell cocaine and heroin, 52 people indictment in Passaic County. Another one, I don't even remember no, that's four. That's four. And I'll tell you, the reason why I show that is because it is possible. That's over $1 million.
Yeah. Wow, I had no idea, and here I am. We're just chopping it up. I thought we were going to talk about sales the whole time, and here we
This is
are.
this is the future.
That's
This
that's
is the
amazing.
future. This is what I'm saying. And I same thing. Jail, went to jail. I knew how to play chess, but I became a chess player in the county. I became a
Yeah.
chess, not champion, but a very good chess player in state prison where you actually get settled. And so listen, the reason why I
Hmm.
got into got I followed that path. Number one, I was always had a fascination with prison for some reason. When I used to watch Corcoran Correctional Facility, the shows, right? For some reason, I had a weird infatuation with it. And I was the type of person I wanted to get into capital markets. And when I got into capital markets, I went into a firm, and this was after I had been arrested for selling Percocets and Oxycontin and all that shit. And I wanted to take the Series 7 and the Series 63. I was getting 86s on my mock exams. 2 weeks before the test, they said, Shane, I know you told us about these things, but we can't accept you. You have a criminal record for drugs and this. We can't do that." And I'm like heartbroken. And they said, I said, "Okay, so when can I?" They said, "You either open up the cases and get them expunged or appealed and changed, which is not happening, and that costs tons of money that you don't have, or you wait 10 years." So that was the first failure. Went on drugs, got fucked up again, went through the run of the mill, rehab, jail, and everything. Then had a second chance, and the second guy said, "I will give you a shot, and I think I can get it through." It didn't go through. Every job I went to and have to fucking write that bullshit box. Have you ever been convicted of a felony? Or have you even been arrested? Not even accused, or sorry, convicted, accused of this. Those moments are shattering, life shattering moments because you're just about to say, "Okay, I'm clean. I've got everything going. I've sold this. I've done this. It's my chance." And then they shut it down. Well, great. Sometimes I used to lie, and then I worked for Vector Marketing Cutco Knives. I don't know if you know what those are, but I was selling that 6 weeks,
Oh yeah.
became a top seller. Everybody loved me. The seventh week, they called me in the office, "Shane, you didn't tell us about this criminal record. We have to let you go." When? Today. And these things are crushing, dude. They're crushing. So all of those times where I had the door closed on me, what do you go back to? What you know. You know
Yep.
is basically the system, right? But the other side of it. And then you get into the system. So that's why I believe I'm on a journey where I was removed from the country, because had I gone home to my house in Bergen County in America and had that whatever, that thing, that statement on my head, I was never able to progress in life. And coming here, I never had anything in terms of references, companies I've worked for, because the past 3 years I was in prison. So who's going to hire that? So a buddy of mine took me
Yep.
on. That led me down a path of boredom. I almost relapsed. And then that's when I got into sales, and why I'm passionate about this, because sales inspired me. It fulfilled me. It's given me a fucking life that some people could never. I've made $1 million, not to brag, like I said, I've made $1 million in 3 years from my first startup. In prison, I learned how to type at 132 words a minute, right? Or letters and whatever a minute, whatever it was, words a minute, I think it is.
Yes.
I learned how to use Excel. I learned how to use Word the right way. I started to get back into just jogging that train of thought where you're thinking again. And then the passion, the drive has to come from not going out and being the victim, going out and making sure nobody ever has any motherfucking thing to say about you ever, because you
Yeah.
fucking crushed it. Crushed it so much that people that went to corporate jobs, fucking Ivy League schools, some of them, I'm destroying them. And it's not a competition about that, but it's fulfilling to me because it helps me see I've gone forward. So, mate, it's absolutely incredible that you're thinking about that. How are you going to get it done? Are you going to do a government funding thing? Like, have you thought about all that stuff yet?
Um,
All
yeah.
right, so we'll get into that another time,
I got a
maybe
plan.
offline. But that is, it's very, very interesting.
That part.
Okay, let's talk about that
that
another time. And in terms of Topia,
um,
I always do this. I do a quick little jog. I'll jog your kind of train of thought right now. Do you have an example of Topio on your PC right now where you can share the screen for 10 seconds or a minute and just give a quick run through?
let me give it a shot
Because then at
here.
least that gives you the
Um,
right type of exposure when this gets the ad campaigns behind it.
well,
People can see.
well, I don't work at Topia anymore.
Okay,
So
you're
I'm
building something.
the pitch black. Pitch black is full time. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. So, um, however, oh wow, they have a cat now, or looks like a fox. Amazing. Every time I come in here, there's something new and cool. One of my best friends is the founder, and we, of course, we're still close and in touch and everything. And so happy to
Yeah.
show it.
Good.
When you drop in, can you
Yep.
see my screen? So you notice it's just asking me to turn on my microphone and turn on my camera and all this good
Hmm.
stuff. So you can see that you get embodiment as a character here. So if I allow, there we go. So now I exist in the world in live video feed. Now you can come in here with me, Shane, if you so choose, and I'll just drop it here in the chat.
I
Is there
think
a
so.
chat? There is.
Uh,
That's okay. That's all right. That's all right. That's okay.
yeah.
You've been in here before. So if I Will Aitken recently, shout out to Will. I got the hat on today. That was an accident. Um, trust me, I'm a salesperson. Love it. So I'm over here at Will's desk, and at Will's desk, within the metaverse itself, I can click and go out to his LinkedIn if I want to know who this person is at this desk. I can also open up Salesfinity and log in and make calls here in real time, which I
Mhm.
won't do. That take a little bit of time. But as you can see, everyone can have a desk, and this is a little bit more of a head-to-head battle here. Here's Bilal's desk. Same thing for him. Here's his LinkedIn. But if you're walking around in here, then if you're the sales manager, you could see who's dialing, who's working, right? Who showed up today. It's a little bit of a social accountability, not fear based, but more like social
Mhm.
based. So we're in this together. We're doing the hardest job in business, which is to create a customer from nothing. Um, and there's a camaraderie that builds in these types of worlds, and this is just one example of a world. These backgrounds, these images, the construction, it can look completely like whatever you could
Mhm.
imagine. And so this is Topia, and this is what's gonna come out very soon, is the ability for hundreds and thousands. These worlds have been tested. Adobe had a 10,000 person engineer hackathon. This is a year and a half ago,
Wow.
and they needed the world tested for 5,000 concurrent users. We tested it with 5,400, and that's with camera connections. And so Topia's got a massive advantage on something called peer-to-peer
Mhm.
technology. Right now, you and I are using a
Mhm.
server, and our audio and video is going to a server, coming back down, and coming to the other person's machine. Well, guess what happens? The server racks up a nice bill for that to you, or to this
Yeah.
podcast technology you're paying a license
Mhm.
fee on, right? Um, you start to put too many people in the room, and everybody's feed is going up to the server and back down, and the computers can't handle it. In Topia, our computers talk to each other. There is no server in peer to peer, and therefore you don't rack up the server bill, and the communication cannot be sniffed and stored and recorded and fed to an ad model. So if you're on Zoom, everything's going to a server. If you're on Hangouts, everything's going to a server. If you're on Teams, everything's going to a server. That's how these technologies work. But there's no world, there's no 2D, there's no 2.5D, 3D element here
Mhm.
as well. And on these environments, only one person can talk at a time. In Topia, you could walk away from someone and have a private conversation in the context of a larger
Yeah.
purpose, aka sales pit. So that's Topia.
Wow.
And Still a fan. And look. Here's the thing. My best friend pulled me out of Pitch Black. Started before Topia, and I was so enthralled with the technology, and the big hype curve of the metaverse of the last 18 months. Meta. I mean, Facebook changed its name to Meta. Like, that's how much they believe in
Mhm.
the future of that technology, and it is going to massively disrupt how teams work in B2B, because we are never getting everyone back to the office,
I
no
ain't
matter
going.
how much, no, no matter no matter no matter how many attempts the FANG companies make, the big companies, the small companies. We're never getting everyone
I'll
back to the
leave it.
office. So we have to have a way to coexist casually, and not in just Zoom calendar appointments, because people's calendars are a wreck these days. If you look at director level and above, they're
Man,
they're a
I think
mess. They have
I
so
think the
many.
next thing then, like I just had a wild thought, right? And I think if you really want to like 100x the ability of Topia, 5,400 people is huge, right? So I think if you are a government official or you're at, let's say, part of the elites club, I'll tell you a quick story about yesterday's elites club. They'll make a metaverse, city-based metaverses with millions,
Sydney already did it.
huh?
Sydney, Dubai, and I think Singapore have already spent millions of dollars
Wow.
trying to construct a city-based metaverse where
Yep.
you could just, if you need to like, if you need to talk to like, the social security office or something like that, like why drive all the way across town and have this big old building full of people sitting behind a shield where you walk up to the counter? I mean, all of that
Yeah.
is waste to get to that point of conversation. It's all waste. The building's waste, the journey's waste, the parking lot's waste. The person who had to drive there to do that job, they wasted their
Somebody
time.
might go on a crash
That's
on the
all wasted.
way.
That's all energy spent. I'm
Yep.
talking real energy. I'm talking fossil fuel. That's real energy spent for no gain, zero. And so Sydney's already there, Dubai's already there, Singapore's already there. These, I'm telling you, this is a monster. This is a monster in the making. And I think Topia is well positioned because they've got the kind of technology that can be an infrastructure layer across the whole thing, rather than be an
I'm
application
gonna go.
company.
I'm going to
So
speak to some clients. Give me an email to Mr. Topio. We gotta have a
okay.
chat. So wow. All right. So we went into a bit of a deep dive into why do you do it and what it's about, which is fantastic. And I have no time limit whenever I'm on an interesting episode. If you do have a hard stop, just let me know. But we always dovetail into massive failures that you've been through in life, biggest learning experience that had the biggest impact. Tell me who you are in 10 years, and then where to find you with a growth hack that people can use today, which I think there's a few. But I do want to have a final message to a large group of people, 8 jails, one prison, one immigration prison. So it's probably about 5 to 10,000 people that are within an extended network that would really value knowing what you do, number one. So we'll definitely go into that. But if we're going to touch on one thing that is always really interesting for me, most of prison is about that failure, or most of incarcerated lives are about failure. So show some empathy, or no, shine a light on some of your failures that anybody could have experienced, maybe one that was quite memorable and it really shaped who you are today and you're proud of that failure.
Hmm. Um, I think along the way, I tried to side hustle and start little businesses here and there, um, thinking that I could just work my way through the transition. And my failure was kind of abandoning my community, not staying in touch with people. I'm on my 36th address since I was 18 years old.
Wow.
So, and that's 36 IRS addresses, like places that I put into the USPS. There's a few more that weren't even worth putting in because I knew it was so short term. It was so short term, it just wasn't even worth even trying to get mail there. And I I might be one of those people that have lived, the most intuition based life. I mean, I'm all feel
Mhm.
like, and growing up in Oklahoma, there were no black people. Then I moved to Mississippi. It has the most black people per capita, and so that was a wild swing. And now I'm seeing that racism is still
Yep.
alive, and also that there's a lot of great people that are not
Mhm.
that way, and that it's a choice. Um, and so I spent so much time just trying to figure out where I want to live, and I kept leaving my community behind. I was in this seeking mode, and after a few jobs around age 33, 4, I decided to start a company, and I only did it to reduce time and make more money. I only wanted to spend less time, make more money, so I could just, I guess, hang out at the beach, which I don't even really like to
Mhm.
do. It's like I created this picture of a life that I thought everyone wanted to live, even though I
Mhm.
didn't want to live it. I thought everyone wants to live
Yep.
this life, so I'll just go try to
Yep.
construct that. And there was nothing driving me. I'd made enough money in sales that didn't have to I didn't need a
Mhm.
W2 income. I I made that bet with myself in my 20s. I'm going to do something one day. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to do something one day, and I'm going to need to be able to fund myself. And so, when people were traveling all over the world and going to the Greek islands and, and doing that kind of stuff in their 20s, going on foreign exchange programs in grad school, I took, here's one for you. I took, I got a full ride to Purdue for MBA
Wow,
school,
congratulations.
and but I borrowed from Sallie
Okay.
Mae as if I had no scholarship because they didn't know. Like there was no connective tissue between Sallie Mae and if you had a scholarship. So I borrowed as if I needed it all because I knew when I got out, if I bought a house, I could rent out rooms and pay for my
Hmm.
mortgage. So in my 20s, I was laser focused on getting out of debt and getting ahead so I could have this chance to do something. Well, I took that chance first time, 33, 34, and it was a recruiting agency in multiple iterations of its kind. And when I got down low in my checking account, I'd go make it happen and get to go to the next year. But it never really got anywhere because I didn't really believe in just placing people in jobs. It did there was no like how am I changing the world doing that?
Hmm.
How am I making
Hmm.
an impact that's like driving me to jump out of bed,
Yep.
right? And it was really it was too so I have you know I have a laundry list of failed types of business constructs that that I could have a whole episode about. So others out there, and those coming out of prison. I mean, you know, like you probably won't get it right the first time or the first
Oh.
iteration of it. And but just I think it's for me it's easy to have the guide of the intuition inside. Like the intuition tells me if I'm on the right track or not. And when I got to Topia, so I leave IBM. I had a
Hmm.
great coach. He convinced me to leave IBM. He's like, you're not gonna you're not gonna hire people out of prison at IBM. Okay,
Yeah.
it's not gonna happen. Like that this is this is the wrong life. This is the wrong lifetime for that. Uh, and he convinced me to start the first time, um, and I'm building in a way to get to this
Hmm.
outcome. Well, then the metaverse comes along, one of my best friends, and I'm thinking, okay, well, you know, I'll park myself here and gather resources again to prepare for this big thing. So I've always been like preparing for this big thing. Well, you know what? It's time to just do the thing. Like it's
Yeah.
time to just
Yep.
do the
Yep. Yep.
thing. It, rather than treat myself like I'm in like training school for doing the thing, I'm just
Yep.
doing it, right? I'm just doing the thing. And, um, you know, when, and I think there's like these little signs in life. So when, about 4 months into converting from being a contractor to Topia to full time, there was an inbound inquiry from a prison that said we have relationships with companies that want to hire convicted felons, and we do the job training inside the prison while they're still there, and our technology is breaking down because of there's we're trying to improve how the inmates can use technology, and your system looks like we could train them without having to go to jail, without having to go to
Yep.
the prison, by just right by having this map of and if we lock it down and to the codes of what for safety and whatever reasons they use for that, then if that's the only place they can go, then we can really
Yeah.
control the what they can work on rather than go out on the random web and surf around and just do whatever, stick with the training. So that was a sign that I was to me, I took that as a sign I'm headed in the right
Hey,
direction.
that's fucking
you know uh,
incredible. That is absolutely incredible. Because so I'll tell you what it's like, right? When you go inside, you go to classification. After classification, then you get placed in your housing unit. And when you're in your housing unit, you have a couple of opportunities, which are going to be welding, it's going to be wood shop, it's going to be the kitchen, it's going to be the tier kitchen, so like on site on your house that you're serving. It will be cleaning the hallways, and then in some cases, for younger kids and some older kids, you have the opportunity to go to school. And you can only imagine what school is like. School is a very old computer, very click, click, click keyboard, not no Apple stuff, none of that. And it's very, very boring, right? If you do a test, it's very, very boring. So if those programs where you obviously have to earn based on good behavior and you probably go through a few things, as long as they have that controlled environment where, okay, all you need to know is ICP, market segment, company segment, and let's see how you tier your accounts or whatever, and a script, a headset, and those four items, and they can be fucking flying, and you can have them making like that money would probably go home, but for commissary, for funding the prison, you can do it. There's probably some huge opportunities. Wow. So on that front, on that, go
Women,
ahead.
there's a women's there's a women's prison in Phoenix, Arizona, and a company called Verde, I
I've heard of
believe it
them.
is.
Yep.
Right. Embedded with the prison and putting lots of people to work while they're still on the inside there. That's been going on for a while, like 5 years, like maybe 6 years. So you know, um, like I said, I think So well, now we're getting into part of the reason that I think this has to exist for these people is, um, you know, a welder job, a forklift driver, like these things, we tend to want to push all of that part of society into these kinds of jobs. And as soon as you get your arm cut one day and you have to go to the ER and you don't have insurance, you lost all your money all year, everything you did all year is gone. Like one of those moments and you're wiped out again. And now you're back to, do I go try to get another forklift job, which was so hard last time to
Mhm.
even get it, or do I just sell drugs again? Because I can make 6 grand
Yep.
this week. And when you're down and out and you have no resources, I can't even I can't even say that I could properly imagine what that must feel like and what that is like. So you know that's why I'm so gung ho that cannot be a nonprofit, cannot be a government program, cannot rely on altruistic funding. It has to work as a business, and then
Yeah,
it will
I
work.
agree.
You know,
I agree fully. And I'm guessing a lot of those trials and tribulations that you went on in your journey, it led you to learn a number of valuable things. But if you could share one extremely valuable learning experience on your way from what, 16, 17 until now, how would you explain that to an audience? And if it's a sign to look out for, what can they be looking, what can they be searching for in their journey?
my first cold calling job was actually when I was 20. I was at university, and it wasn't sales though, because remember I said I thought sales was evil. It was market research. We were calling old people, asking them, should we build an assisted living facility in your zip code? Basically, it was a firm that was hired by big, huge contractors and developers and investors to figure out where to build senior living facilities. And I don't know if you know this, but Warren Buffett's been a huge investor, and senior living has been a wild growth rate. I mean, a fantastically profitable business
Mhm.
for whoever the owners are in that segment. This is all the way back in 2002.
Yep.
And before that boom happened. And this is also, a lot of our relatives are living longer, thank goodness, for them and for us. And so that's
Happier.
also what contributed to that, because this is, we need a place for them to live, that where they don't have to do everything themselves, right? So we're calling and asking these questions. You get paid $7.15 an hour guaranteed, or you can climb all the way to $15 an hour, depending upon how many surveys you can complete per hour. So the script is, hey, I'm calling on behalf of blah blah blah, and I'd just like to ask your opinion about a retirement living blah blah blah, and you had a script and you couldn't go off the script, and the throughput on that's like 10-20% range, and depending on the list. Okay, so you're dealing with a lot of so 9 failures for every success. Let's call it 10% is what it more like
Mm.
felt like. So this they dangle this carrot of $15 an hour. You're at 7. You have to get like 6 an hour. It's just almost impossible. They know they're only going to pay you $8 an hour. Like, right? They know. They know. And so one day I showed up and I picked up the phone and this lady answered and I said, hey, Miss Sandra, um, I'm a college student working on my final project. I was just wondering if you could help me with a little bit of information that I need to write in my final paper. She's like, "Oh, honey,
Yep.
yeah. What do you want to know?" And I said, "Well, has anyone ever called you about senior living centers in your area? Are they building them? Do you
Mhm.
care?" Like, I'm trying to get a sense for whether she's like, "Oh, well, let me tell you, my uncle Joe went there," and it was just like, and I would all of a sudden I went from bottom of the leaderboard to top of the
Yep.
leaderboard. Now I'm at $15 an hour. Nobody else is even at 12. And they went and they listened to the calls and they fired me because they said those surveys are invalid. They don't for the research. It's not a valid a woman you tricking a woman into helping you with your college paper makes the research invalid method wise, which is probably true. Which is
I think it's
probably
a
true.
on how you get the
And
information is it really does matter.
the lesson is that I missed a signal at that age that I had what it takes to do this
Yep.
job. And instead, I tried to turn myself into an HR professional and a and a operations. I started in
Mhm.
procurement, and I missed that signal that I could go into that job with no training and come up with that in 2 weeks and have the balls to do it. And that's the those are the symptoms and traits of that I think are necessary for being an entrepreneur and doing your own thing and certainly being in sales. And I just missed it. I took it as failure only, not failure and.
Yes, and you do watch Jin, what's his name, Jin Zing or something like that. Vin, I'm gonna send you his name. He's a communications specialist, and he's from Australia, Asian dude. Yo, the you speak a very very different language, and it's amazing. He speaks a similar language in terms of how to communicate effectively. And I'll give you a quick
Mm.
scenario and tell me if you can actually understand this. So imagine them. Have you seen the founder, but with the McDonald's story with yeah, you play Croc, right?
Oh yeah.
Amazing
Oh
movie.
yeah.
So you see
Oh,
in the
oh,
system that they create is so basic minds can perform the function and deliver the burger or the fries, right? It's based on that systematic environment. However, when you have a bunch of this is not in a bad way, but if you have a bunch of test monkeys that are learning how to do those burgers, it comes to the point where a robot can do those burgers and you don't need human intervention. The only robot that will separate themselves will be some that can develop empathy and feelings. And there's that difference with you. Whoever that manager was that installed that system in that market research company was looking at it as a bunch of test monkeys that are going to deliver the same outcome by doing X, Y, and Z. And by learning, if you have somebody like Ewing, let's find a way to quickly bring him down. And then whoever's down, we bring them up, and there's that level playing field. And then when you get someone like you or I, who is empathetic, understands, really gives a shit, and you rise above that, you become the wrong person when you should realize you're the 1% of the world that are incredible. Nobody knows how to embrace that. And then that's your and moment to say, and now I'm going to try this. So, how do you feel about that being a true statement?
yeah. I can definitely I can get down with that. Yeah, big
It's
time.
exactly how I
Yeah.
see things. So, in terms of fine,
I got to tell you I got to tell you one thing. So, on my I went back, they told me I'm fired. They gave me my check. My check was 78
oh
bucks that was
yeah,
left over.
yeah, cool.
Cuz that was like, still fit 5 hours, $15, still was a good, they paid me
Yeah.
the rate. They didn't try to say that they're invalid and we're not paying you. They paid me and
Okay.
fired me. So I take my $78 check, I get in my car, I'm pissed. I roll through a stop sign, I get a $75 ticket for running a stop sign on the way home. Dig it in. Dig it in.
Three. Wow. Well, look,
On the way
it
home. I'm like, I guess that wasn't the one for me,
it's
you
how
know?
God. That's how God. I don't know if you're a big believer, but God, good orderly direction, the man upstairs, whoever you believe in. That's how He puts the anchor in your life to make the moment prior to that so memorable because it's just that jolt again, right? God puts these. He puts the story together. You walk the journey. You live life as is. Present moment is all that matters. And you will see that every single anchor he's put in your life has typically been after either a great or bad moment. And it's that jolt that you can say, I'm going to now live behind me in regret. I'm going to be a nutcase and live in anxiety in the future. Or I'm going to embrace that right now. I've got this many lessons in life to execute on what I have in the next how many ever hours you have until you go to sleep. So, mate, you are
Yeah.
fucking incredible to say the least. So, a growth hack that people can start executing on today, something you're using, something that they can go to. Chat GPT is obviously a fucking incredible one. Where are you going to tell people to get an immediate result if they do X today? And X is,
Yep. So most people do not take the time to master Sales Navigator. So we're going to go there right now. Um, one of the things I can do now is I can look at people that worked at IBM that are now, working at a company that is like in the range that I'm trying to do business with.
mm-hmm,
And instead of thinking about titles in the strict way we think about them before, I want to think about people that are focused on automation or AI or artificial intelligence. If I can spell, which is not always true every day. By the way, you don't have to have quotes anymore for spaces. LinkedIn has taken care of that for you. You'll get the same results. So now people that left IBM and work at small companies is 31,000. Wow, that's still a bunch. So maybe I want to stick to people I can interact with in my same time zone for
mm-hmm,
now. Again, me kind of getting started. So look, not everyone has the luxury of working for a big company like
mm-hmm.
that, but there's so many things you could do. And now let's look at the ones that are actively posting on
Yep.
LinkedIn. So this is going to be an engaged audience that I can reach on this channel. If I want to, another one is years in current company. So hey, noticed you just joined. Right now, I can write, notice you just joined. Hey, one IBM alum to another, notice you just joined, and I've got a opener that is absolutely personalized. It is a very real thing, but I can get through a lot more messages to this audience if they are in fact the right
Mm-hmm.
people, um, and I can use this to personalize. And I think people just don't. I don't think people spend enough time realizing that this is possible. Another one is Navigator is not the greatest for
Mm-hmm.
industry. Um, Classifications are highly limiting. There's things like Ocean.io, and people are using Clay right now, and even ZoomInfo and Apollo. Their industries are stiff. So, what is Amazon? Is it e-commerce? Is it
Sure,
technology? Is
yep.
it AWS? Is it a bookstore? What is it, right? So, the further you get up into enterprise, the harder it is to classify things. Um, Loading account lists. Okay, so if you can see down here, coming offline, building your list, and then loading your list here. LinkedIn does a fantastic job
Whoa.
of accepting website URL and account name. You don't want to pick your accounts on LinkedIn, in my opinion. You want to build your list off LinkedIn and load them in. So then in your searches, all you have to do is pick the account list you've already built. So this is growth companies. Let's see. That was something else. There we go. So okay, we're not going to get anything but an IBM search here, but virtual schools from Rose's purchase. So this was referring to at Topia, we bought a database that told us who had purchased software like Topia
Mm-hmm.
in K through 12. And now we've loaded that list to only look for people that we want to market to within that list. Then you've taken away this, because here, and let me tell you why this matters, right? So let's just type what's a name of a company? What's a name that you know exists in like 5, 6, 7 different companies?
A name like
Uh, a name. So
John Smith.
let's think of like Terminal. Look at
Okay.
Terminal. Look at terminal. Here's 4 companies that have the word terminal in
Okay.
it. More. Now, if you just know that the company is terminal and you go like this, you're going to get potentially results from multiple of them. But
I see.
if you have a website URL loaded in, you're precise. So you should be, in many cases, loading your list through the account object so that they're really precise. That's just a simple one, okay? That's a really, really simple one. So all of these are useful in various ways for various purposes. But here's one more hack for you. Here's one more is
This is fucking incredible, dude.
well,
Holy shit. I'm loving this. And that is a very good point because I'll give you an example. We ran a campaign for banks, financial institutions in Miami. And when we ran that campaign, when you put in Bank of America or BOA, you do get so many variations and you end up calling people who are not right. So that's this is beautiful. All right, let's do it.
so here's my old boss. If I take out, this is a very limiting filter, 1 year in
Mm.
role company. Here's my old boss. Like, so here's the people that my old boss knows that now work at these smaller companies that are actively posting on LinkedIn.
Oh,
And
this
this
is
guy was on
dope.
my team. And this guy was, I know David very well. Sean Kester was 0 to like 100 million at Sales Loft. Um, we take out North America, it'll probably grow because Glenn has spent a bunch of time in Amsterdam in his life, and IBM took me to Europe many times as well. So connections of, you know, very, very
Wow.
helpful way to filter as well. And so there's really there's this thing's a gold mine, and I just think people don't realize it. Um,
Just say one on
and so
that.
I
So
would
what
say,
the people I've spoken to so many people. I'm like, just fucking pay for it. And what's your argument to the people who's like, is it worth it? What would you say?
so um, there are 1,000 databases in the world of people and
Mhm.
companies. 10,000. I mean, there's a lot. There's so many we don't even know how many there are. Now we all know Apollo, Zoom Info, blah blah blah. Now, when's the last time you updated your Apollo record to reflect your new job? Never. When's the last time you updated your Zoom Info record? Never. What about Seamless? What about Infotelligent? What about all these out there? Never, never. But if you change jobs, do you update LinkedIn? Every single time. Why? Because there's an inherent social value in telling your network where you went. So it is the only contact database that is updated by the people. So you got to have that
Wow.
because it's the only one. And here's another only one for you. The phone is the only channel left, is the only channel in business left, I say left, that is synchronous. Every other channel is asynchronous, which means you can't get an active dialogue right off the
Yep.
bat. People sit and wait and think and ponder and
Yep.
forget. Slack, email, LinkedIn messages, website, chatbot, even if it's not a
Hmm.
human. The only one left that's synchronous is the phone. And so, the only contact database that's up to date by the users is LinkedIn, and the only synchronous business tool is the phone. And those two, unless you are selling T-shirts and you can't afford to make the call, you got to have both of those. You've got to have both of those, I believe, in this world. And there's so many people that have think that the phone is just, you know, They take their own intuition. This is
Mhm.
my this is the thing that kind of irks me a little bit. Nothing, or it doesn't really bother me. I don't really care. But there's a lot of leaders out there that because they don't like getting cold calls, they don't believe in the whole
Mhm.
method and they throw it out
Yeah.
of the business. There's a friend of mine just landed. He's a consultant as well. Landed a new client. Two Israeli co-founder technical wizards from the military, and it's a famous sort of military computer science. They just pump out talented people all over the world, and they he came in and he's like, all right, I need to get Orem. He likes Orem. I need to get Orem. Like, whoa, cold calling doesn't work. And so he's like fighting him on just getting Orem connected to HubSpot so he can
Yeah.
just get
Yeah.
on the phone. And so they finally relent, and um, he gets Orem on the phone with the RevOps person so they could just connect everything and make sure everything's piping through right. Call dispositions, the list is built, it flows over, I
Yeah.
can dial. And they're like, all right, ready to test? All right, ready to test. He hits dial, first pickup, books a meeting with the chief information security officer at a target company in their target market is 500 to 5,000
Mhm.
employees. They sell a security product that affects like the whole internet, so almost any industry. First call, first connect happened 27 seconds after hitting dial. 7-minute conversation, meeting booked on the calendar. Absolutely, you're experiencing the problem that this company solves. And the RevOps person started slacking the founders, was like, this phone thing is real, you know. And now they're like, okay, double down, let's buy this, now they're all in. But they had decided that the phone was completely
Mhm.
useless and fighting somebody they were paying to tell them what to do, so pretty good recent uh, story in my mind of, just a couple of things that you probably should just spend some time to figure out, because when you do, the lift on these kinds of things that I just showed and talked about are profound compared to the other methods of trying to get at the same
You're exactly
result.
right. And one thing I think though is being manipulated in cold calling, and it's why I love cold calling for myself. Right? I love cold calling to make an impact for myself, my business, and the way cold calling has been exploited, and I'm not a victim, I'm guilty of it too, is because I was good at it, I expected the team I hired to be just as good. And that was the failing moment in our business, was I expected people to be me. But if you can cold call and you hire the right people, which is what founders, business owners need to understand, you hire the right people, you hire a firm that has credible people that are not going to outsource it to India. If they outsource it to another country, there's nothing bad about it, but those people have to be trained and that needs to be vetted. That's part of that due diligence process. So cold calling, I'm 100% with you. That LinkedIn is incredible. Last thing before we wrap up, it is, let's see, Thursday, the 23rd of November, 2023. On the 23rd of November in 2033, tell me what Ewing is doing. Also at 6:19.
What do you mean
So
619?
sorry, my time is 6:19, so it might be 11:19 for you.
Oh yeah, 119. I mean,
Okay, yeah. Okay.
um, what am I doing in 10 years?
This day, 10 years at this time. Tell me what you're doing in the next hour and what your life is like.
Um, I am on Thanksgiving. So today's
Happy
Thanksgiving in the
Thanksgiving. I
U.S.
completely forgot. My mum just said I've sent you some turkey.
I am actively engaged in a ridiculously competitive pickleball tournament with tons of friends and family from the community. Many that are out of prison and have now gotten on their
Mhm.
feet. My own couple little kids running around in that mix. Um, and it's like it's so real I can see it. It's so real I can see it. And we're probably near water because my better half needs the negative ions from salt water to survive. Um, so we're going to be near some salt water somewhere, and that's what I'm going to be
Wow.
doing is playing games that are physically active and just being thankful for having a chance to do something like
That's
this.
fucking incredible, dude. So where can people find you as we wrap up the show? This is the longest episode I've ever done. Probably the most interesting. Sorry for anybody who. Well, no, I'm not going to say sorry because this is a fucking incredible episode. So where can people find you, Ewing?
LinkedIn is best. If you want to, if you're an email person, Ewing at pitchblack.consulting.
Okay. So also throw in any links of what we do. I don't know if you've seen some of the now our newer YouTube videos has a description of what obviously we go through, and chuck me over any links you have. So Pitch Black, we've got your LinkedIn. If you have any other podcasts, if you have any other material that you want to share, unlimited 5, 10, 15 links that you want with your name on it, Instagram, Twitter, all that stuff. I want people to be able to really find you. And then yeah, we'll talk about some more stuff after this. So I'm going to stop it, just stay on for like a minute and then just while it uploads. And then, guys, until next week or until the next one, like, share, subscribe. Ewing, thank you so much. Peace.